All right, guys, thanks for coming back to another video. Today, I'm getting a lot of questions about Kydex, so I thought I'd touch on kind of a subject that gets brought up a lot, and it's making a Kydex sheath for a knife like this with a big gut hook on it. So if you've made sheaths before, you know that that will cause a big problem with getting the retention right on that Kydex. So I'm going to show you my steps on how I make it to where the Kydex works properly and will not damage the blade once finished. So stay tuned and I'll show you guys my steps. Okay, so what you have to do if you want to make a Kydex sheath for something like this is you have to make a small spacer, okay, that covers up this area. So it basically gives you a smooth platform to work off of that kind of goes from the tip of this probably up to where some of this jimping is. So from here to here. And what I do a lot of times is use a scrap piece of G10 or wood or whatever you have laying around. And what I'm gonna do is figure out how this piece needs to look. And I've got some oil on it right here so it won't trace over good. But hopefully you guys can see what I need to do here is make a piece that goes from right here over to here. So the general shape of it, I'm just kind of tracing it out with a Sharpie. This isn't precise at all. Is about like that, okay? And obviously with a black Sharpie, it's hard to tell. But I'm gonna cut this piece of G10 out in this shape. And your thickness is important. Obviously it has to be the same thickness as the blade. And this piece is, I think this is an 1/8 inch piece or something like that. So I need to thin this down a little bit to make it the same thickness as the blade, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this little shape out on the bandsaw, and then I will probably refine it a little bit on the belt grinder to get it to fit. So I'll show you guys what that looks like, what this piece is gonna look like when I'm done with it. Okay, so got this little spacer cut out, and basically this just slides right in here, and then will kind of fill that void so that Kydex won't bind up in there. And you can see this spot right here still overhangs a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is probably fill that in with another little small piece, or I might just be able to put a couple pieces of tape on there and fill it in. Because when I do my Kydex, I normally do 3 layers of tape on both sides of the blade to give it plenty of room for clearance. And especially when you're doing stuff like this, it helps to have a little bit of wiggle room with it. So I'm gonna get this thing taped up and get my Kydex heated up and see how this goes. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm putting a layer of tape on that side of the blade. And then I'm going to take my little spacer and kind of put it in like that. Now I left that spacer a little bit wide, and so I'm going to try to even it up on both sides. And I wanted it a little wide just to make sure it has plenty of room to slide in there. And then you take your other piece of tape and secure it like that. So there you can see that there, I need to put a little something right there, because see how there's a little bit of an indent right there? That's gonna hang up on your Kydex once you press it. So I need to put a little spacer or something in there to fill that little void. But putting that spacer in there fills that whole gut hook spot to where that shouldn't be a problem now. But we'll find out once we press it and see how it's looking. So I'm gonna fill that with something, like I said, and put 2 more layers of tape on each side. And then we're gonna go ahead and press this Kydex and see how it looks. And I'm probably not gonna do too much of detail on that because I have a whole other video that's really long and detailed on how I do my Kydex sheaths. So this is more just how to make one if you have a gut hook or something like that, or a big swoop in the blade that your Kydex will bind up on. So, all right, that's what it's looking like. Okay, so I got this thing pressed. You can see I got it drilled, ready for rivets. You can see right here where that spacer was at in the Kydex, which if you say you didn't like that look or whatever, you could always thin it down, but I like to give myself plenty of room to make sure that that hook isn't gonna catch. So a little wider isn't gonna hurt anything. So now I'm gonna go ahead and shape it. This is kind of a weird shaped blade, so I'm not positive how the shaping is gonna go, but I will, I'm taking off a couple layers of tape. When I do my fit up, I always just leave one layer of tape on there, and it just makes it to where everything's gonna be really good and tight. But you can take this spacer out now that you have it pressed. I normally leave the tape on and just pull this spacer out during my test fit and getting that tension right. And then kind of just put your tape back on a little bit like that. And you can see that this thing, I've got to do a ton of trimming on it still to get it to go around these handles. But yeah, that's the general idea. I'm gonna get this thing finished up, and I'll probably show you guys a quick video of the final result. I think I kind of covered everything as far as this specific video. Like I said before, if you guys have any questions or have any more info you need on the Kydex itself, pressing it and everything, go check out a couple videos ago. I put up like a very in-depth on how I do my normal Kydex sheath, so that should help you and answer all the other questions. If not, drop a comment below if I missed something. And yeah, but stay tuned. I'm gonna get this thing fit up right, get the rivets in, and see how it works. Okay, here is the final product here, and it turned out pretty good. This blade shape is extremely difficult to get it to work properly with Kydex. And if you've made some sheaths, you'll totally understand what I'm saying as far as getting that tension right. But you can see I got it good. The tension's good. It's not gonna fall out ever. I did a tech lock clip on it for scout carry. It's a heck of a big blade to scout carry, but hey, you know, it's all good. And you can see it fits in really good. Let's see if I can show you guys. Kind of slides right in. So making that little spacer gives it a really smooth in and out, nothing binding up, nothing's gonna be scratched up on the blade, and you're good to go. Now the only thing I'm not stoked about is this material is like a rubber, and the only place you're gonna get your tension to hold onto that Kydex is kind of right here on this rubber. So I had to make it a little bit softer. You can see it just barely clicks in. I had to make it a little softer so it doesn't tear up that rubber handle. So, you know, I guess there's always room to improve on what you're doing and stuff. But as far as this blade, this design, you know, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. But I'm happy with it overall. Like I said before, if you guys have any questions for me on doing this Kydex stuff, feel free to drop it in the comments or any other stuff. I've just been getting a lot of questions on Kydex. I'm not sure why, but that's cool. So there it is. This knife is the, it's a buck. I don't know what model it is, but yeah, so there you go. Make sure you guys subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.